محmad from the bilingual class, and my seminar talks about the blood. Blood groups. Blood is known as that basic element that constitutes approximately 8% of body's mass and enters the composition of the bodies of living organisms such as humans and animals. And its main function is to transport food, oxygen, and important vitamins to all tissues and cells in human and animals' body, which is liquid tissues that consist from combination of red and white blood cells and plasma plus platelets. This picture talks about the components of blood: red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, plasma. Blood components. Plasma is main component of blood and consists mostly of water with proteins, ions, nutrients, and waste mixed in. Red blood cells are responsible for carrying oxygen and carbon dioxide. Platelets are responsible for blood clotting. White blood cells are part of immune system and function in immune response. Cells and platelets make up about 45% of human blood, while plasma makes up other 55%. Picture talk about components of blood. Importance of blood. Blood is bodily fluid in animals and humans that transport essential materials such as nutrients and oxygen to cells and conveys metabolic wastes away from these cells themselves. The components of blood include plasma, the liquid portion that contains water, proteins, salts, fats, and glucose, red blood cells, white blood cells, and cell fragments called platelets. Red blood cells deliver oxygen to cells and remove carbon dioxide. White blood cells, including neutrophils, monocytes, lymphocytes, and eosinophils and basophils, are involved in immune response. Platelets form clots that prevent blood losses after injury. Blood group. Human being is different for each individual, so every human being has a specific amount of blood belonging to one of the following four major groups: A, B, AB, O, and its subtypes range: A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, AB positive, AB negative, O positive, O negative. Each group differs from other certain group due to presence substance in the blood and serum cells. Let's talk about the blood types. Bases that classified blood into groups. Blood is classified into different groups according to presence or absence of molecules called antigen on surface of every red blood cell in person's body. Antigen determines blood type and can either be protein or complexes of sugar molecules, polysaccharides. Blood group antigen protein severe form of functions within cell membrane of red blood cell. This protein function include transporting other proteins and molecules into and out of cell, maintaining cell structure, attaching to other cells and molecules, and participating in chemical reactions. Blood group antigens play a role in recognizing foreign cell in the bloodstream. The importance of knowing blood groups in life. Importance of knowing your blood type is to prevent the risk of you receiving its incompatible blood type at time of need, such as during a blood transfusion or during surgery. If two different blood types are mixed, it can lead to clumping of blood cells that can be potentially fatal. It has importance in marriage in addition to transmission of some disease through blood. This picture talk about the blood. Blood transfusion is a way of adding blood to your body after an illness or injury of your body is missing one or more of components that make up healthy blood. Transfusion can help supply what your body is missing depending on how much blood you need. Transfusion can take between 1 and 4 hours. Your blood is made up of several different parts, including red blood cells and white blood cells, plasma and platelets. Whole blood refers to blood that has all of them. In some cases you may need to have transfusion that uses whole blood, but it's more likely that you'll need specific component. Why do you need a blood transfusion? There are many reasons for them. When you have had major surgery or serious injury and you need to replace lost blood. 2. You have experienced bleeding in your digestive tract from an ulcer or other condition. 3. You have an illness like leukemia or kidney disease that causes anemia, not enough healthy red blood cells. 4. You have received cancer treatment like radiation or chemotherapy. 5. You have blood disorder or severe liver problems. Blood transfusion groups. When you get transfusion, blood you are given has to work with type of blood you have, either AB or O. Otherwise, antibodies in your own blood will attack it and cause problems. That's why blood banks screen for blood type, Rh factor positive or negative, as well as anything that can cause infection. About 40% of people have type O blood, which is safe to give almost anyone in transfusion. If you have type O blood, you are called universal donor. If you have type AB blood, you can receive any type blood and you are called universal recipient. If you have Rh negative blood, you can only receive Rh negative blood. We'll talk about donor's blood type. Of a blood transfusion, there are several common kinds of blood cell transfusion. 1. Red blood cell transfusion may be used if you have anemia or in iron deficiency. 2. Platelets are tiny cells in blood that help you stop bleeding. Platelets transfusion is used if your body doesn't have enough of them, possibly because of cancer or cancer treatments. Plasma transfusion helps replace proteins in your blood that help it clot. It may be needed after severe bleeding or if you have liver disease. Picture talks about Rh factor. Risks and complications. 1. Fever. 2. Allergic reactions. 3. Acute immune hemolytic reaction. 4. Delayed hemolytic reaction. 5. Anaphylactic reaction. 6. Transfusion-related acute lung injury TRAL. 7. Bloodborne infections. 8. HIV. 9. Hepatitis B and C. 10. West Nile virus. 11. Zika virus. 12. Hemochromatosis iron overload. 13. Graft versus host disease. This picture talks about blood transfusion. Rh factor is a protein called an antigen that is found on the red blood cells of most people. An antigen is any substance that the blood considers foreign, and this stimulates the body to produce antibodies against it. Rh factor, like the blood types A, B, and O, is inherited from one's parents. This picture talks about Rh blood groups. This picture talks about Rh factor genotypes. This picture talks about Khayraldiin. The discovery of Rh factor Khayraldiin 1868-1943. Discovery the Rh factor, a type of protein or antigen on the surface of red blood cells, in 1940. Most people are Rh positive. They believed at the time to be similar antigen present in red blood cells of rhesus macaque, and later discovered that the human factor wasn't identical to that of the rhesus monkey. Knowing Rh blood type is important for pregnant women. If a woman is Rh negative and pregnant with child who is Rh positive, this may lead to a condition known as Rh incompatibility. If the baby's Rh positive blood mixed with the mother's blood, it can lead to the production of antibodies against the baby's blood known as Rh allergy. In general, the production of these antibodies will not affect the child during pregnancy where the allergy occurred, but future pregnancies with Rh positive children could lead to fatal outcome to child. To avoid the risks, we always check women's blood type early in pregnancy. If she is Rh negative, she will receive an injection called immunoglobulin, which blocks in production and sensitivity of antibodies. This picture talks about how Rh hemolytic disease develops. The importance of a blood test. Blood tests can help doctors 1. Evaluate how well organs such as kidneys, liver, thyroid, and heart are working. to diagnose disease and conditions such as cancer, HIV, AIDS, diabetes, anemia, UH, NEE, NEEH, and coronary heart disease. 3. Find out whether you have risk factors for heart disease. 4. Check whether medicines you are taking are working. 5. Assess how well your blood is clotting. How is blood test done? You should fast for 8 to 12 hours before the test. A small sample of blood is taken from your body. It's usually withdrawn from a vein in your arm using a needle. A finger prick may also be used. Lab workers draw blood and analyze it. They either use whole blood to count blood cell, or they separate blood cell from the fluids and contain them. The fluids is called plasma or serum. Most common blood tests are 1. Complete blood count (CBC), 2. Blood chemistry test, 3. Blood enzyme test, 4. Blood test to assess heart disease risk. Risk of blood test. The main risks of blood test are discomfort and bruising where the needle is inserted. These complications are usually minor and disappear soon after the test performed. Blood plays an important role in regulating the body's system and maintaining balance. It performs many functions inside the body, including supplying tissues with oxygen associated with hemoglobin, which is transported in red cells, supplying nutrients such as glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids, either dissolved in blood or bound to plasma proteins, for example, blood fats, removing waste products such as carbon dioxide, urea, and lactic acid. Immunological functions, including circulation of white blood cells and detection of foreign material by antibodies. Coagulation, which is no part of body's self-repair mechanism. Blood clotting by platelets after an open wound in order to stop bleeding. Messenger functions, including transport of hormones and signaling of tissue damage, regulating body pH, regulating core body temperature. Hydraulic functions, including regulation of colloidal osmotic pressure of blood. This picture talks about the blood diseases. The most important blood diseases. Hematology is a study of blood in health and diseases. It includes problems with red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, blood vessels, bone marrow, lymph nodes, spleen, and proteins involved in bleeding and coagulation, hemostasis, and thrombosis. Common blood disorders include anemia, bleeding disorder such as hemophilia, blood clots, and blood cancer such as leukemia, lymphoma, and myeloma. This picture talks about the blood diseases. Contains blood, blood components, importance of blood, blood group, bases that classify the blood into groups, importance of knowing a blood group in life, blood transfusion, why do you need blood transfusion, type of blood transfusion, risk and complications, Rh factor, discovery of Rh factor, knowing Rh blood type, importance of blood test, some most common blood test, risk of blood test, blood functions, most important of blood diseases. Sources: Wikipedia, Kine Academy, Britannia, Kine Hub, Mark Manuals, NHLPI. Made by Dيمه and زكريا, supervised by MSc عبير الحياري.